At least Texas has its priorities in order. Here's Governor Greg Abbott signing a bill that bans discrimination based on hairstyles.
The Crown Act stands for Create a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair. Some Texans, especially people of color, have faced discrimination based upon hairstyle or hair texture. This law ends that discrimination. The Crown Act prohibits discrimination in housing, education, and employment based upon hair texture and styles that are historically associated with race.
Let's start with the video from Texas. That's real.
I'm hoping he's either trolling himself or that's AI, because if it's just flat out real, I mean, don't mess with Texas. Are you kidding me? Like, what? You are this far away.
Is that more Never Back Down Super PAC AI, or is that real? Do we know? The governor of Texas in 2023, as the border of his state falls apart.
I know.
Is we're signing hair texture bills? I've never even heard of such a thing. Have you ever heard? I didn't even know this existed. I had no idea this existed. Did you know? I didn't know. The first I knew that this even existed was watching this clip, Aaron, in your montage. I didn't even know it existed. Hair texture?
I hadn't seen it on Twitter.
I mean, have you even heard that racialist talking point? Discrimination by hair texture. I have never heard of such a thing. I will be 50 years old in a month and a half. Todd, you're already 50 years old. Have you heard of such a thing living a half a century on this planet?
How dare you? How dare you, Steve? Your white privilege is just oozing out of you at this moment.
Should that actually mean that, of course, I know what discrimination from hair texture is, because being that I'm automatically racist, I'm guilty of it? I mean, I've been accused as a kid of immigrants who came here at the turn of the 20th century and lived in the ghettos first. I've been accused of every form of racism. I have, just by virtue of not having enough melanin in my skin. I have never heard, though, of banning discrimination on the basis of hair texture. And I have no idea why this is a thing in 2023 and in Texas, of all places. Y'all, you've got a drunk. You've got a freaking drunk for the Speaker of the House. Your border is a human trafficking trading post for mostly brown kids, by the way. The brown boys get turned into drug mules. The brown girls get sex trafficked. And your limp-wristed governor, who you all voted 70% for in the last primary, 70%, is out here with hair texture discrimination. Get the bleep out of here. I don't want to hear no more Texas bravado. None of it.
Oh, cut him some slack. Unlike Paul Ryan, he's into the culture war, Steve. He's standing his post.
This is one of the dumbest. That is the dumbest thing I've seen so far this year. Which, of course, says something. Because this year has already been dumber than the last year, which was dumber than the previous, which was dumber than the previous.
Called it.
Which was dumber than the previous, and you did call it. You did, yeah. I give you credit for that. I see a trend line. They're all just getting dumber. That guy got 70% of the vote in a primary, and he's out here with banning discrimination by hair texture. If someone is white and a slob and won't wash their hair, and the texture is quite oily and lacey, am I allowed to not hire them? Or have I violated the hair texture discrimination laws of the great state of Texas?
I have a dream, Steve. We're no hair texture. We'll go by the wayside.
Sam Houston, my ass. Hair texture discrimination. Shameful. Just, remember during COVID, you were like, I know why there aren't any new episodes of Black Mirror. I mean, what storylines would they come up with, right? At what point does the Babylon Bee just say, just peace out? At what point are they like, you know what, man, this is just too damn hard. This is hard. It's just too hard. We're done here. We're tapped out. The imagination is spent. In the midst of a foreign invasion, a state that was only 3 points away from sending Beto O'Rourke to the U.S. Senate for 6 years, has a governor and a legislature prioritizing hair texture discrimination. That, folks, is a metaphor alert. That might be the most striking metaphor alert we have had in quite some time. We're not serious. We're not.